Game Changers Podcast, inspiring leaders of tomorrow.
Hey guys, welcome back to Game Changers Podcast. My name is Harsh. I'm your host, and with me I have my other host, Jaden, as always. Today we have two special guests for our student series, Donya and Erik from Victorious. Donya and Erik, I recently met them through all their social media influencing and all their work that they're doing for financial literacy. But just to give you an introduction, they work as financial security advisors with Victorious and also in managerial positions. So with everything going on with COVID and people facing so many financial challenges, and also everyone trying to, gain financial freedom these days, I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you guys. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us on, Harsh and Jaden. It's truly a blessing and a pleasure. I just love coming on with new people and talking and just having a conversation and really having that good transfer of energy,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, it's also a pleasure coming on here for the first time with you guys. And I love what you're doing for the community and, the young people in our generation, stepping up the game in every way possible and just spreading awareness and education, to our age group, because that's something that we really need.
No, and likewise, because you guys are doing so much work, I see how consistent you guys are with your content and also how much effort you guys put in. And it really shows how passionate you are about financial literacy and how much you care about helping other people. And I know, Donya, we were talking and you said from your own experience, you realize how much, you were so inspired with what you're doing. So great work, you guys. And I guess since we're on that topic, I want to start off with Donya, because I know you were talking about, because I want to learn a little bit more about you. I know you briefly mentioned in the past you had a bit of a different career path, and your experience in school as well has nothing to do with finance. So tell us a little bit about you in terms of how you got into finance and why you're so passionate about it.
Great question. Yes, what I was studying, my program had nothing to do with finance or money in general. I actually come from a science background. I used to study kinesiology at York University. I was in my first year of university. You know what? It all started from me moving to Canada about 6 years ago. And when I moved here, Harsh, I was so unfamiliar with everything that was happening here. Like, I had no idea what a credit card was. I didn't, at the time when I was even back home, I didn't have even a bank account to use because it wasn't necessary, right? For me, I was always getting money from my family or my mom or my dad. They were the ones managing money. I wasn't working at the time. So there was no necessity for it, right? But when I moved here, obviously I became more independent. I started working, started going to school, then university. Then while I was in university, I came across what I do now. So my dad was actually a client with a lady that was helping my dad with his finances. So he wanted to set up his will, investments, all sort of things. And I became very curious about the field because when this lady was explaining everything, about everything that, for example, with investments that my dad had, insurance that my dad had, and we had no idea that my dad and I had the wrong products. So then I realized the fact that I had no knowledge in the field was costing me and my dad money, right? So that was where this, kind of urge of wanting to learn how finance and money works, right, came to me, and I started it. And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, no matter what I'm going to do, even if I'm going to become a doctor, right? Because that was my goal. I wanted to be a heart surgeon, actually.
Quite far away from that now.
There's a lot of studying coming with it, right? But now I'm a doctor of finance. That's how I call myself, a doctor of finance. So that was really what kind of moved me to the industry. I just wanted to learn, just wanted to have knowledge, being financially literate, and being in the field for a couple of months really made me super passionate about what I do. And I always tell this to people: it's not the products or the services that I'm super passionate about. Yes, I love what I do. I love everything that I do, and I 100% believe in it. But that's not the part that made me switch. What made me really switch was the fact that I realized there's a lot of immigrants in Canada, just like myself, right? Canada's full of immigrants.
Yeah, and where did you immigrate from? Sorry.
I'm from Iran. So,
Awesome. Yeah.
so I moved to Iran. It's on the other side of the world, I know.
Yeah.
So when I moved here, I realized that a lot of people are going to have challenges, like just like myself and my dad. I knew that people have those challenges when they come here. They have no idea where to start, how to start. And obviously understanding the financial part of things is very important because everything runs with money, right? So that was what made me super passionate about staying in what I do, because over time, sitting down with people, I just noticed that not a lot of people out there are financially literate, right? If they were, we would have had a better financial position, right, in the economy right now, right? We wouldn't have a lot of people in debt. We wouldn't have a lot of people struggling. So that was really what got me passionate. And now that I've been here for over 3 years, I look back and I'm just so happy that I give a chance to something very new, right? I give it a shot and I'm like, let me just figure it out. And I'm so happy I did, because so many times I feel like people tiptoe towards what they want to do in life so much that all the great opportunity kind of passes you by, right? So that's a little bit about my story. My passion is helping people, talking to people, sitting down with them, understanding the story, and how can I get them to a better position financially so later on I can be, proud of what I've done. And obviously building a legacy with doing what I do. That's about my story.
And the part that you said about taking a chance, that really resonated with me, because I think a lot of people our age don't understand the risk to reward ratio. I mean, when you're in your early 20s, or, even when you're just in your teen years, that is an opportunity where you have that safety net. Mostly everyone lives with their parents. And I'm sure Jaden is kind of in that group right now where he's in his first, second year of university. And right now, if he wants, he can go and do literally anything he wants and try it out. But at the end of the day, like there's literally, if it doesn't work out, he loses absolutely nothing because.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd like to add, like, me and my buddies were talking about this, and even investment wise, like, we're able to be like have a larger portion of our portfolios on speculative companies and stuff because we're like super young. And I'm not saying like go YOLO it all on like AMC, but I'm able to I put a pretty large percentage of my portfolio in Alibaba because like times were tough, and like that's like gets into geopolitics. But if I lose out on something, which I probably won't because it's one of the largest companies in the world, it doesn't affect me because I'm not even close to my I'm not even close to my potential and earning potential. So even like financially wise and career wise, like you're able to take more risks when you're young, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And going from there, I want to shift to Erik a little bit, and I want to get to know Erik. I mean, we didn't get to have that much dialogue, but it's through you that how I met Donya, and I want to get to know how did you get into finance, and I guess what really drives you.
I'm going to start with the beginnings, humble beginnings. I'm coming from a country called Slovakia. It's very tiny, about 7 million people in the entire country. That's like half of what GTA has, Toronto, right? And, coming there, at the age of 14, here to Canada, it was very unexpected. One day I was like, Mom was like, "No, what? We're going to Canada." I'm like, "What?" And I just came from school, literally. I'm like, "Are you kidding?"
What? That's insane.
And it was very, I don't know. I feel like saying this, you know what? There's things that happen in your life for a reason. And my parents, I'm not coming from a rich family, just like many of people, right? But there's a story to everything. And they were trying to, have a better life, just like many people. And they didn't have any money for tickets to fly here. So what they did is they were trying to build a house, right? In the middle of that, they're like, you know what? There's no way we're gonna make it, and they actually had to sell all the material they had for the house. That's how they got the money to come here to Canada. And I was 14 at the time. What did I understand at the time? Nothing. And I got here. Ever since I came here, whenever I didn't go to school, whenever I had summer, there was no school, right? So what did I do? I went and I did what my dad did, which is construction. So I was working with my hands since age 14 up until 21. That's all I knew how to do. But then I understood, hey, look, I'm graduating high school. I need to figure out what I want to do. That's like the time where a lot of young people are depressed because there's so much pressure from family. There's so much pressure from your friends because you see people wanting to be doctors, wanting to be lawyers. And then maybe you're thinking to yourself, what am I doing? Right? And I was exactly at that position. And I said to myself, maybe, I can go to something related to construction, something related to trades. And I did. I was an electrician for a year and a half, figured out it wasn't a fit for me. And I spoke to a couple of career consultants. And unfortunately, I was not able to get any help. So I started, looking for different avenues. And again, luck had it. I don't know. You call it chance, you call it odds. I don't know what you want to call it. But I happened to meet Donya, and we met. And I just had always the personality to serve people, but at the same time have something rewarding as a career. And when I met Donya, I didn't know anything about money, but I was smart enough to realize that I didn't have any skill about money. It's funny how, people find it cool to know different languages. Like you speak 2-3 languages, that's like so cool. How do you learn, the basics about personal finance? How cool is that? That's gonna improve your life. And so I saw it as a great disadvantage to myself. I said, you know what? Worst case scenario, I'm gonna get licenses, from the government. I'm gonna learn something. If I don't like it, I can just continue my journey to find something, meaningful that I can do for the rest of my life. Best case scenario, I'm going to build a huge business where there's a huge demand in the market, in one of the best industries in the market. I was like, there's nothing for me to lose. For me, it started out with education only, just like for Donya, but my mindset shifted 180 degrees when I got my licenses, and my perspective about money was totally changed, totally. I was viewing totally different, like drastic change I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I had the experience of seeing what it's like, for normal consumers out there. I'm like, wow, these people have zero idea what they're doing. Like 9 out of 10 people I'm talking about have zero understanding.
Yeah, they're spending all their money on skip the dishes all day long, And
I saw it as a great opportunity, right? Because when you're in the market, you're trying to compete for something, or you're trying to build your own business, right? It's amazing to do that, especially when you're in your 20s, because you really have nothing to lose. And so I'm like, this is an amazing opportunity to capitalize on that. All you have to do in any business you want to get on, just find a real problem and get a solution and capitalize on that. Just be open-minded to seeing it, to see an opportunity. That's what it is.
Yeah. You have to, if you find a solution that's more like economically efficient, the market will always reward you no matter what it is. Right. And that is why skip the dishes is popular, is because people can save time, and that's why. But yeah, it's just finding a solution that people will pay for. Yeah,
absolutely. And I just want to add something to that as well, just to give you a perspective. Why I'm so passionate about what I do. If my parents, for example, knew half of what I know now, in 5-10 years they would retire being millionaires, but they will not. And so imagine how many people out there are who don't have access to the right education, don't have access to the right resources for them to, for example, be financially independent, to retire with dignity. Why do I say dignity? Well, on average, a Canadian retires with $30,000 to $50,000 cash. How long is that going to last? Maybe a year. What else? So there are real problems that we're looking at.
Yeah.
One thing one of my professors told me is that Canada used to have super high saving rates compared to the US, but now Canadians spend $1.40 for every dollar that they make. Something like that's really crappy. No one's going to have any money if you keep doing that.
Yeah. That's an interesting fact. I'd never, I didn't know that actually. That is it. And I think that's also a credit to how much credit is easily accessible. People have access to, it's super easy to get a credit card these days, even with almost no history and things like that, and how accessible it is. And again, I think going back to financial literacy, I feel like it's so important that our education system, right? If you think about it, like both of you mentioned that money is a skill. It's a language on how you live. It's something that regardless of what you do, it's something that you need to learn how to manage, and just managing your finances. And it's a shame that our education system barely spends any time on teaching you about that, because it's a life skill, right? I think everyone needs to learn how to do taxes. Everyone needs to learn how to do budgeting, managing your financing, managing credit, how to build credit score, all those things, how to save, how to invest, all those things. But there's no education piece on that, in terms of which I feel like it's one of the most important things that you could teach anybody.
But there is a reason for it, though. And that's what I had to understand. There is a reason why our system is the way it is. It's not that they can't teach you. It's that they don't see a reason in it.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
If you think of how the economy works in terms of the banking system, how people being in so much debt makes a lot of money for the bank, how people not knowing how to be more efficient with their taxes and how to pay less taxes is making more money for the government. Why would they teach us?
Yeah, you'd have to think, if you were the person in charge, would you tell people to save money? Because if they just spend their money, it does create more jobs. It increases money velocity, and it makes a very healthy economy, but it doesn't make it healthy for the consumers. Then people's pockets are empty, but there's more jobs. So it's like a kind of a trade-off. So you can see they don't really have an incentive to increase saving and financial literacy as much.
Yeah.
And that's why it's something that I think people need to understand, and they need to take it upon themselves. It's either you got to find someone that you fully trust with your finances to let them handle it for you while educating you, or you got to take it upon yourself and learn everything before it's too late, right? Because with this whole pandemic that happened, a lot of people weren't financially prepared, right? And that's why they're struggling the way they're struggling. So are we going to be in the same position next time something similar happens? Because this is definitely not the last time it's going to happen. And it wasn't the first time that happened, right? So it's all about preparation. Preparation comes with planning, strategy, right? People got to start thinking if they have a plan.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, just, the concept of if the rich need to get richer or stay rich, then the poor have to still stay poor and, get poor. So unfortunately, that's how the system works, right? And and we have very less power in terms of how much we can change it. So I do see the point where you guys are really doing your best to educate people through the free media that we have now. Of course, our education system doesn't teach us, but at least we can do our part and educate people on how they can better their financial situation and help those who really are interested. But I do want to touch on a point that you brought up about COVID, and I want to get into your financial wisdom that you guys have learned and gained, and I want to kind of dig deeper into that. So talking about COVID, I mean, you just mentioned there's going to be events like this happening, even economical crisis. Like you look 10 years ago, we had that crash where in 2008, where people lost their jobs and a lot of people were laid off and defaulting on their mortgages.
People had 5 houses.
Yeah.
because everyone could get credit for houses.
Yeah, basically, it was just crazy. And people that have watched The Big Short will kind of know what I'm talking about. Right?
That movie is so good.
It is, and it really displays kind of what happened and portrays it in a really good light. But I guess things like this happen all the time. So I guess what can we learn from all these events and in terms of financial security?
You know what? I can add something to that. Before COVID happened, the rule of thumb is you should have put aside 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses in an emergency fund, right? But look at what happened. Something unpredictable can happen anytime. You cannot know when and how. So right now, it shouldn't be 3 to 6 months. It should be 10 to 12 months of our monthly expenses put aside so that we have money, right? I mean, when you look at the overall position that Canadian people are in, a lot of them are just this close to being bankrupt. So it's crucial that people put aside money in case something like that happens. I don't know. It could be something else. Maybe it is your card that will break down, or you have losing job. You don't find a job, the next day. So you gotta be prepared and have some cash, put aside and be ready financially, because you don't want to dip into payday loans. You don't want to go into credit cards and have 20-25% accumulating every month on top of it, and be in a vicious cycle of getting in debt and out of debt.
And to add to that, I know like when people are going to be listening to this, they're going to go like, yeah, but I have so much debt. How am I going to focus on saving money? Like, I need to focus on paying off my debt and paying off my debt. And this is like something that I think through the system we've been programmed thinking that you should always pay your bills and you should always pay your debt first, where it's actually not that way. So if you look at anybody who's wealthy, they always talk about paying yourself first. And if we want to be wealthy, then we got to do what the wealthy does, right? So that's something that people need to switch. You got to pay yourself first 100% of the times. It doesn't matter if it's $20, $50, or $100, but that needs to go first to you, then to everything else, right? And that comes with that emergency fund that Erik was talking about. So if you don't have an emergency fund and you do pay off all of your debt, but the next day something happens that you need $2,000, what you're going to do again? Using a credit card. So you're back into debt, and then that's the vicious cycle we're talking about. So people need to understand that yes, paying off debt is very important, but you got to go with the structure. If we were to, and we talk about this all the time, Hirsch, on our, on our Instagram, when people, go to check us out, probably after this, they will probably see it in our, I would suggest they would check out our Instagram lives, our IGTVs, and we spoke about this financial house, where it covers everything one step at a time, right? So paying off your debt is the third step. Is not the first, is not the second, is the third step. So you got to have that structure where what's the first step, what's A to B, what's B to C. That's what people need to focus on a lot. And that's why I say having a plan or strategy is the biggest thing.
And I think after you have your emergency fund, it will be like important to pay your debt before like investing, because you want to get your highest return on your capital. Yep. And so if you put your money in the S&P, like you'll get like 10%. But if you pay off your debt, you can avoid paying like 20% on your credit card. So like after you have your emergency fund, then that's probably like the next step before like investing and stuff. So yeah, it just takes like a good plan and just following steps. Yeah.
And since you bring up investing, I want to touch on that, because if, in the last 2 years, we've seen like 25-30% increase in retail investors. So I want to ask, what do you guys think about almost everyone wanting to get into trading? And I know a lot of people have kind of turned into gambling, a lot of people are turning into day traders. And what Jaden was talking about earlier, just YOLOing on AMC or GME and putting their life savings in, working at the bank. I know like there would be some people coming in, and I had someone like an old grandma, and she withdrew I think $300,000 and put all of that in GME when it was trading around like $300 mark.
This is the bad part from this, man.
And she basically lost like the next day. She lost like it went down to like $100 or something, and she lost almost all. So in terms of that's the bad side, but there's also people that are genuinely interested in learning how to invest and also trading.
More people than ever.
And I know Jaden's really interested in this field, so I also want to get to know both your opinions on the surge of retail traders.
With that social media, everything is changing, and there's just so much information out there. It's accessible in an instant, right? Like you go on Reddit, you can find so much information about that, right? I mean, it's so popular right now. If you go on Instagram, there's people promoting crypto, there's people promoting, individual stocks like AMC and other things.
Look at Elon Musk, for example. he's manipulating the market for the last 6 months. And how is he, I don't know how this guy has been allowed to get away with. I don't know how SEC has not banned his Twitter.
Keeps following him around and he just like ignores
He has been manipulating the crypto market so much with Bitcoin and Dogecoin and everything, and it's absurd how much he gets away with it. Sorry to cut you off, Eric. Go ahead, yeah.
You brought up a very good point. That is the power of social media. This is what it is. That's why there's so much more, so many more retail investors, because there is apps that allow you to invest commission free, like Wealthsimple, so popular in Canada, right? Everybody goes there. You know what? Let me go and trade, put money into wheat stocks and whatnot. And that is the reason behind it. But I would say before you even begin to, for example, trade stocks, get some education first. If you have no education, no experience in trading stocks, how do you want to make moves, right? So you kind of want to mitigate risk. If you have never traded stocks, get some information first, read some books, right? That is the best thing you will do for yourself, because that is instant return. I mean, this grandma, I don't think she had any experience in, putting money into stocks. Who knows what happened to her the next day? I hope she didn't get a heart attack, right? So that's what I would say. Get some education first, and I would certainly not recommend putting all your money into stocks. If you want to do something long-term, I don't know, maybe put it in some ETF like the S&P 500 or some, good quality mutual funds for long-term, and have some money that you can play around with as well into trading by yourself.
I also would say, if you look at anybody who is very successful with most of the people who are traders, because I have people that I work with that used to be traders before, Forex, cryptocurrency, like all of different type of, stocks, investments that people do in trading, day trading, I don't know, buy and hold or buy and sell. Like, you know what I mean, right? You know what I'm talking about. So,
diamond hands.
Yeah. So I'm very familiar with how it works. And almost at anybody I look at that was very, very successful in it, they have a mentor, right? I think having a mentor, having a coach is very important. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because it's so funny. When we can't figure out something with our health and our body and our fitness goals, we right away want to get a fitness coach, a trainer to coach us, tell us what to do, what workout to do, what diet to have, what to eat, what not to eat, right? What body type do we have, and all those sort of things. But when it comes to our finances, somehow we've been trained to handle everything on our own.
Yeah, like I have a mentor and he's on Reddit, and I just met him, and he's called Pump GME 69, and he's just buy GME, and I bought it because of him, I'm just kidding.
You know what? And how did that go for you?
No, I didn't actually do that, but I would be in a bad place right now.
Right? So this is why, having a mentor, what I mean is not going through it blindly though, but actually having a mentor. So what I was trying to say is, with finance and money, somehow people are so I think at times maybe insecure, and I don't, don't get me wrong, I don't judge them. I know it's hard to, sit down with someone and say, hey, yes, hi, I have $50,000 of debt. Or at times, I have over $150,000 of debt. It's not something we're proud of for us to say, right? So I know that it could be definitely hard for some people to open up about it, but it's important to have some sort of a mentor or coach to sit down with you and give you a second opinion. Literally, we were talking about this on our Instagram last night, having a second opinion. Even if you think you're doing amazing in your finances right now, having that second opinion might put you in a better position, because there's always room for improvement, right? So I want people to start thinking, just like how when you have health issues, you go to a coach or you go to a doctor, do the same thing with your money. When you have money issues, sit down with somebody that is more educated, more knowledgeable than you, and see what they have to say. You either like it or you don't like it. What do you have to lose? Right?
Yeah. I really appreciate that opinion. I think it's so important that people educate themselves before they do engage in a certain behavior, right? You wouldn't, it's in any field that you do. Let's say you want to be a doctor, somebody wants to be a doctor. You're not going to let someone do an operation without them having to know learning what the process is, right? You're not just going to give them all the tools and you're like, hey, go do a surgery. So kind of like that. I think it's education in any field is crucial, and especially when it comes to money. I think with how it's being portrayed and how because see, Wealth Simple is gonna make money. They will tell you that, it's really easy to get started. It's zero commission fee. Just go. It's so easy to make money.
It comes in their fee comes in the exchange rate. They charge a higher exchange rate.
Exactly.
They'll still find ways to make money, and so it's important not to get lost in what these people are saying, and also all those Wall Street bets, Reddit page, all those guys, what they're saying. So I think, education is so important. If anybody who is wanting to get into trading, and like you said as well, mentorship, there's so many people that have been, traders on actual trading jobs, and they have that experience. So learning from them, watching YouTube videos, and nowadays you can learn anything on YouTube. Right? Learning through YouTube, even finding mentors on there. So education is key. But from there,
real quick.
Sorry, what?
I've got to take off. Do you want me to just let you guys finish this up?
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good.
Okay, nice meeting you guys.
Hey, same here.
I'll keep in touch on social media.
All right.
See you guys.
See you. But from there, I want to talk about the housing market, right? Because I think, that's really something that's come up recently, where the housing market in Toronto has really gone up. And I know you're shaking your head because, it's absurd what's been happening. So I guess I want to get your thoughts on that. And also, where do you think it's headed?
That's a very, very good question. I actually found something, and it showed stats between 7 countries. And those being Canada, UK, France, US, Spain, Germany, and Italy. And among those countries, Canada is first. So that means, that is the place where real estate is appreciating the most. Now, if you want to compare by how much, we're looking at 168%. Other countries, like UK, France, US, we're looking at 90% to 54% up. But Canada, it's over 100%. It's more than double. We're talking about 168%. So that is abnormal. There is something happening in the economy that, is making people go get real estate so much. I think, there's 2 factors to that. I would say one is the influx of people coming from Asia, right? A lot of business owners are coming from there, coming in with cash, and they have the hard cash. So they're like, you know what? I want this property. They know that there's a shortage of properties out there, and they just get the property cash. So that's not, fair to other people who are trying to get maybe their first property. Second is, the amount of immigrants that are coming to Canada. That is another reason why, right? But I would say it's the shortage. There is more than 1,000% of, not 1,000%, but 1,000 properties in shortage in the market. And I think that's what creates, that supply and demand that is rising in prices. But another reason again is the interest rates. We're in a historically, you're being, in mortgages. Historically, we're sitting at the lowest interest rates ever. And that creates, a very good opportunity to lend money and get properties. So it's just so attractive for people to go and get, properties, because maybe they know a family member or a friend, and they tell them, you know what, I bought my house 2-3 years ago and already appreciated by $150,000. What are you going to think? You're going to go and do the same thing. Right? But
then where does that leave affordability? Because, that's my concern, where, an average person who dreams of buying a home and having a family and things like that. And, does that dream ever come true if you're living in Ontario? That, especially if you're living in Toronto or this region, or, even in the future years to come, the way it's headed, even other cities like, I'm from Alberta, I know Edmonton, I'm sure the housing market there is already, I know it's gone up and it will continue to go on that pattern. So for an average person, like, is it going to be possible to afford a home?
You know, what's interesting is that not only in Ontario, not only in BC, because Vancouver is one of the most expensive places in Canada, right? Not only in Alberta, but this is actually happening in every province of Canada. Houses are going up, and it's not normal because usually, you know, there is a supply and demand in other provinces more than the other ones. And it's really interesting to see what's happening, given the situation people are in, you know, with being so much in debt, have people having so much debt in credit cards and, student loans. It's really interesting. And I'm very curious about what's going to happen in the next 5 years when it comes to this, because I meet a lot of people who are saying, you know what, I want to get my first property, but I don't know, whether I'm going to get the first property, especially in GTA, because houses are getting so expensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer that question, I would say either people have to make more money, get more income coming in, or people will have to move outside of those, high demand places such as Toronto and get out of the city and go somewhere else.
100%. Yeah. Most of the people are really hopeless, towards, like, I talked to a lot of young people as well. And most of the people in their 20s, 23, 24, 25 are like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy a house by the time I'm going to finish school. I'm going to start my career. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it, because with the way it's going up, and I feel their pain. They're right. So I think people need to understand that the time of you just having one source of income and that will be enough is gone long time ago, right? An average family now has to have anything over 2-3 sources of income, like 2-3 jobs, to be able to pay bills and make the kind of meet ends, right? And make the ends meet. I don't know how to say it. Anyways, so,
you got it right the first time.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Make them meet ends. So it's what I would say with people. They need to understand that now is a different time zone. It's a different lifestyle, different years, right? So you're going to do something different. Just like how Erik was mentioning, having multiple streams of income. If somebody wants to truly be worry-free about money, financially free, having that, full freedom, you need to have at least anywhere from 5 to 6, 7 sources of income to be anything over an average income, right? Like, or an average person in Canada, what I mean. What was the average income, not income? Hold on a second. I'm trying to remember this stats, because I remember I saw this one time where it was saying for somebody to be kind of, I think, yes, this is what it is. If you're making anything over, anything about $300,000 to $350,000 a year, you still counted as a middle class family. So you're not even counted as a wealthy person. So over $300,000 of income is still not enough. So if you want to be wealthy, that's why it's necessary to have over 5 to 7 sources of income. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who want that. It's just that they don't believe it's going to happen for them. Right. And that's where we need to change our, mindset. So mindset is very important. Knowledge is, very important. Knowledge is power, but mindset is also very the key. And I always just tell this with my client as well. No matter how much of a plan I'm going to give you, right? Like how great of a plan I'm going to give you, how great of a strategy I'm going to, give you, how much great services you have, you're not going to follow through with the plan because you don't believe that it's going to happen for you, and you don't have that right mindset. It's going to be very hard to get to what you want. And that's why I have it on my Instagram. When I say money mindset, that's what I mean. That needs to change for a lot of people. Just like how I had to change it, a lot of the other people need to change it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And it really goes, what you said, people need to have, we're being forced to get into a capitalist mindset. And, and I guess it's important now more than ever to learn how to grow your income And I know that's what you guys do. You guys are helping people, learn how and educating people on how they can create different sources of income, grow their net worth, managing debt, right? So they can set themselves up for the future. Because if you want a home, let's say everyone wants a family, you want to get married, stuff like that. Let's say you want a home and you're like 35, you're going to have to start like in your early 20s you got to start having to save, start creating that plan now to be able to have that home when you're like 35 or so. Because guess what? In 10 years time, the market's going to be even inflated, even higher. The prices are going to be even higher, right? And it's going to be even tougher to get a home. So you got to start planning now. That's how I envision it. Going from there, we talked a little bit about debt. I know we have a lot of, this is our student series, and I want to touch a little bit on student debt. And I guess, what are your thoughts on student debt? And, what is your advice on people going to university and how they can manage it?
Very good question. Maybe you've heard of this, but very recently, the Canadian government came up with a new law where they are actually going to put education on how to pay off debt sooner in the curriculum. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, a little bit. This new adjustments, like last 2 weeks or something, came up.
And that's amazing, but I think it's a little bit late. Why is it that we're trying to improve the situation when the debt is so high? Right? It's so bad right now, and tuitions, if you notice, are going up every year. Let alone if you're an international student, and that's like 2-3 times more expensive.
Oh my God.
Right. And I think for our young generation, it's super important to know how to handle credit. Super important, because just like it can be helpful for you to build up your credit, it can also work against you. That 25%, of interest rate can go also against you. Right. We say those who don't understand interest, they pay it. So that's what I would say. It's when you're getting in for example, in college or university. For example, if you are not one of those fortunate ones who maybe your parents didn't think about opening up an RSP program for you because maybe they didn't know or they couldn't afford it or something, whatever reason, you have to think about getting another source of income. And I know it's going to take up your time because you have to study and everything, but you have to bring in some cash to pay it off as soon as possible. Second thing is maybe find a professional who can help you find a strategy how you can pay it off sooner. Right? There's a lot of different ways, that you can pay it off sooner. It's just that it starts with us. Do you want to pay it off? How urgent is it for you? Are you curious about how you can get rid of it sooner? So 2 things, bring in more cash flow. Second, be curious of how you can get rid of it sooner.
Yeah.
Another thing I would say too, like another way of looking at it to avoid getting into so much debt, be careful with the path you choose for your future, right? One of the main reasons, Harsh, when I started getting into the industry that I am today, I took a year off from university. And I never went back, not because I didn't like school, not because I wasn't smart enough. No, it just wasn't going to give me the lifestyle I was looking for. That's why I came out of what I was doing. But I realized that was the case because I tried new things. So I feel like oftentimes when we're growing up, as kids, a lot of the times what other people want from us makes us think the way they want us to think instead of teaching us how to think. That's how to think, not what to think. That's what we need to learn.
Right.
Even as parents, I hope somebody, who's maybe a little bit older as well is going to listen to these podcasts, and maybe they will get the point that it's not about what type of future you want for your kid, but what type of future does your kid want for themselves. Right? Because if I'm just going to university to get a degree to become a lawyer or to get a degree to become an engineer just because my family wanted me to, the chances are you're going to be left with so much debt at a job feeling miserable for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I completely agree.
A lot of people out there hate what they do, right? Over 85% of Americans hate what they do. as their jobs. So you need to make sure about your path. I'm not saying dwell on it too much where you're not going to do anything, but just thinking, no. Actually take actions, try new things, figure it out, right? Instead of putting yourself into so much debt. Imagine, Hersh, I would have continued with my studying, and then I would have find out that, oh, wow, like I love, finance and I want to do this. I would have been so much debt by now, right? After 2-3 years of studying. But the first year I was like, no. I'm going to put a stop on it right now because I already know that what I'm studying for is not what I want for the future. It's not going to give me the lifestyle. I took that year off. I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to do. Yeah. Right? I was super happy with what I was doing here. And that's what I would say can help people to not even get into debt, right? Rather than paying it off and thinking about how to pay it off. Because I see so many people making the same mistakes. So many people I sit down with where they have over $50,000, $60,000 of debt, and they're like, I have no freaking idea what I want to do.
Yeah. And I really resonate with the part where you said it's so important to teach our future generations on not what we want them to do, but instead of saying, hey, we want you to be an engineer. No, you got to give them the right values and the right guidance so they can make that decision on their own, and a decision that is correct for them. A decision that will benefit them in the future, not what you want them to do, but setting them up so they can make the right choices and to set themselves up, right? And I really connect with that. Going from there, we are coming towards a close for the podcast soon, and I want to shift to. We always ask this question, with most of our guests. What is if you have one piece of advice to give, what is some game-changing advice that you would like to give to millennials and Gen Zs on managing finances, or it could be anything? What is one piece of advice? Both of you.
This would be it, okay? With the 3 account system. And if you're wondering what that means, it's this. See, normal, ordinary people, what do? We have one account that we use it for everything. If you want to buy a car, we're going to use that. If we want to pay off something, we're going to use that. If we want to pay the bills, we're going to use that. So it's one account used for everything. But what do the wealthy do? Maybe you're wondering. Well, you know what? They have different accounts for every situation. So the 3 account system is this. Number 1 is protecting yourself, right? Protecting yourself by income protection / life insurance. It's something cheap, with a high enough coverage that you actually need. You don't want to overpay it, but at the same time, you want to have the right amount of coverage. Why? Well, think about it. You are the most valuable asset that you currently have. And it's not a guarantee that you can be insurable ever in future because nobody knows, how our health is going to be. That's number 1. Second is have emergency fund, right? Having an emergency fund, very important, very important. Third would be having some sort of, short, medium, and long-term goals when it comes to your investments, for example, right? So having those accounts in place and securing that time for yourself and effort, because a lot of people think, I'm going to invest when I have more money. I'm going to invest at the end of the month when I have whatever money left I have at the end of the month. That never happens. So putting in those habits early on and actually being invested and, making your money appreciate, just as hardly you're working for your money, you want your money also to work hard for you. So getting those habits and take advantage of the time that you have, because you being in your 20s and staying invested, believe me or not, but compound interest is going to create that magic of you ending up with more money. It's to your advantage. Opposed to you miss out on 10 years and you're going to lose out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can get the money, but you're not going to get back the time. So capitalize on time. Take advantage of that.
Okay.
From my side, because you said the financial part of it, I'm going to say another aspect of that. So my tip for them would be in terms of your life, be okay. Start getting comfortable with 2 things. 1, failing. 2, getting rejected. Because these 2 are the 2 main things that stops a lot of people from doing what they truly want and from really reaching to that full potential, right? And do we really ever reach that full potential, right? Because there's always room for more. There's always room for more. So what do I mean by failing? Fail often, fail fast. The faster you fail, the faster you try every possible way of figuring things out, the faster you will learn, the faster you will become successful, the faster you will get to what you want. The more you're scared of doing some certain things, if that's in your business, in life, in relationship, in school, whatever it is, the more scared you are of failing, the longer it's going to take you to get to what you really want. Because you're never going to know, right? If I would have not tried this, just like how I said, Hirsch, I would have not been here today. He would have not been here today because he would have not met me. There's so many different, I would have not been here talking to you right now because I would be just a normal student going to university, right? So that's what I would say, like, be okay with failing, especially for us young people. Like, I see some people that are around 40, 50 years old and they're trying new things, and I love it. Because they have the right to say, oh, like, I'm old now and, I'm scared of the future, but they're not. You're only 19, 20, 25, 28 years old, 30 years old, 40 years. What do you have to lose? Right? Gary Vee always talks about this. And most of the people who are into entrepreneurship would know.
You definitely sound like Gary Vee right now.
And you know what? I got everything that I'm saying, I got it from different people. Of course, I've been listening to all these people. And he always talks about, you're 40 years old? You're freaking young, man. Go try new things, right? What do you have to lose? You have so many years ahead of you, and he's right. It doesn't matter how far in the process you're going to be. If you're truly in love with what you do, does it really matter that you didn't reach it, maybe? And right? So, like, that's what I think people need to understand. Like, I come across a lot of people, Hirsch, and I just want them to understand that without you trying new things, without you failing, you're never going to get to what you truly want, because you will never know who you are. If I would have not tried what I do, I would have not known that I'm a creative person, that I love leadership, that I love entrepreneurship. I would have not known, right? And rejection, because you are going to get rejected in life. Whether you like it or not, there are going to be some no's you're going to hear. There are going to be some yeses you're going to hear. Embrace the no's, because every time you hear a no, that means you're closer to your yes. And appreciate the yeses. But know that at the end of the day, you probably learned the most with those no's you got in your life, right? As Anthony, I think it's Tony Robbins. Yeah, Tony Robinson always says, if you can handle getting rejected in life, you can handle anything in life. And he's 100% right. And I heard this 2 years ago, right? And I can remember it vividly because I was at my job when I was listening to this. So fail often, fail fast, and be okay with getting rejected. Get comfortable with these two things. That's what I'm going to leave everyone with.
Great. Fantastic. So yeah, the two messages I got was, make your money work for you, and fail often, fail fast, and, don't let rejection stop you from trying new things. So great messages from both of you. And, it was really a pleasure to have this conversation, because I got to learn so much today, and also really developing on topics that I'm passionate about, and getting that type of insight from, someone who's part of my age group and my demographic. It's really great. So, for anyone who is wanting to, who's interested in learning about how they can, improve their financial situations and get some advice and really learn and educate themselves. Donya and Erik both are great resources, and I can vouch for that. So feel free to reach them out. I know they're very, they're very responsive. Donya, you can find her on Instagram. We'll definitely plug her Instagram, and I know Erik as well, Holistic Finance on Instagram. Reach out to them, and also check out their content, because I know you guys are doing some amazing work. And something that I enjoy watching, so it's entertaining. I know Donya makes a lot of TikToks and Instagram videos, so it's very entertaining and also very educational. And, you guys have your Friday Finance, so I'll definitely be looking out for that. But yeah, thank you again for coming on. It's really a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having us. And thank you for doing this, because you're definitely giving a voice to a lot of people, and you're definitely impacting a lot of people by just listening to these people that come on here. So thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
All right, Hirsch, you're doing amazing, especially for a demographic. You are, it's like a freaking fountain of, wisdom and experience that you are pouring into other people. So it's really great what you are doing. And I'm wishing you a lot of luck because you have so much more ahead of you.
So much to give.
And we're just very grateful that we were, part of this call. And we're very happy to make a new connection with you. So very happy and looking forward to future endeavors with you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. I really do take that to heart. It means a lot when people give positive reinforcement like that. And, you guys definitely share the mentality that we try to create here with, our podcast being called Game Changers. That's what it is. We're trying to do something unique. We're trying to change the game, right? Game changers, just not someone who's trying to do something different against the norms and against the system. So definitely is great to share that mindset with you guys and learn from you. So yeah, thank you again. Thanks for having us on, and thank you everyone for watching, and hopefully see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.